The other thing that's worth picking up on is that yesterday we thought that the top 4 drivers in the standings all had 6 points apiece, but then there was a penalty handed out to Harrison Mackie, who ended up having a couple of points knocked off, which is how Cathal Clark was promoted to the pole position. So we didn't pick up on that because it was still going on during the Senior X30 heats. So here we go, 11 laps of the Super Heat 1 for X30 Junior. Cathal Clark and Sandro Perez, Harry Bartle and Harrison Mackie. Then Isaac Phelps and Austin Gale, Clovis Nujerade and Toby Gale, Sasha Van Padbosch and Rocco Coronel, Eden Spanswick and Joseph Smith, and Raoul van Tharen and Sam Woolley from Angelina Proenza and Javier Broasca. Vilma Svan and Timo Koopmans from Giovanni Tarazona and Enzo Pedraza, Georges Nassar and Sebastian Mins, Connor Clancy, Raul Martinez and Alex Martinez at the back of the field. Now, I'm trying to see, we've got a huge problem down in the pits because Sandro Perez is not going anywhere. Sandro Perez, who should be starting this race from the front row. There he is. Sandro Perez, they are desperately trying to get his kart started so that he can go out. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the regulation is for this, because obviously he's missed his run out on the start. Can he rejoin on the second formation lap, or is he going to have to wait until the start of the race? So this could be a huge disaster for Sandro Perez. If he's allowed to join on the second formation lap, then he can take his place at the starting grid again, because he'll have time to do it before the red line. But this is big drama for MDC and the Sandro Perez outfit, because they did not need him to be having this kind of stress. They are going to let him out. There we go. So he will be able to rejoin at the back end of the field. That is very good news indeed for Sandro Perez. He's going to have to work hard now to get himself back up to his position. He's got to get there before the red line. If he manages to make it, then he can take his starting position on the front row of the grid. But that is the kind of panic that you do not need going into a super heat. Let's not forget that the race points from this race, the aggregate positions at the end of the super heats, do count towards the championship. So Sandro Perez cannot afford to have a duff result now. So Cathal Clark is getting himself in a position, but he is leaving it very late in the day to get the field riled up. So Sandro Perez is really going to have his work cut out for him to get back into position, and the red line is here. So Sandro Perez is going to have to start this race from the back of the grid. This is a disaster for the Spanish driver. He really couldn't afford it, and unfortunately, it doesn't matter how hard he's tried, he has got to take the start of this race now from the back of the grid. Now he's going to try his best to get around. Look, he's tried to get around, but he can't do it, so he's going to have to start from the back. Disaster for Sandro Perez, but the race is going to get going. Here we go. Up to the start, and a good one from Harrison Mackie as he tries to slot in behind Bartle and Clark, but Bartle is going to get a good start here. It's an absolute disaster for Sandro Perez. He's got to try and work his way through now from the back of the grid as everybody jockeys for position, and there's 2 or 3 carts off the road at turn 2. It's already caused a little bit of pandemonium as Clark is desperately trying to hang on in front of Gale and Bartle, and that is one of the crop promotions that went around there on the first lap. That is the 34 of Sam Woolley. So Woolley has gone around, and it looks as though Georges Nassar was involved in that one as well. A little bit of a late run from Giovanni Tarazona, so he's also been involved. Sebastian Mins does not look like he's taken up the start either. So Sandro Perez is now trying to carve his way through the field, having had problems on the initial formation lap, and was not able to take up his position again. So Sandro Perez is in an absolute rock and a hard place right now.
Oh, going very defensive there with Sasha Van Padbosch early on in this race to try and maintain track position. Manages to do so. Really denied Eden Spanswick the opportunity to get past there. At the back of the grid, the 68 just coming into shot. Enzo Pedraza there, right at the back of this huge gaggle as again Sandro Perez fighting to get through the field, and he's done a mega job from the back of the grid so far. Already up into, where's he got to? 16th. Wow.
There's an astonishing charge forward from Perez. That's red mist and anger,
yes,
trying to charge his way back. Meanwhile, Clark is in a bit of a difficult situation. He's got to try and dive back up the inside of Isaac Phelps to get back into second place and chase back after the race leader, Harry Bartle, because Bartle and Phelps initially got their moves on Cathal Clark. So Clark is now back in a second position again. There's Harrison Mackie. Oh, up in the air went Austin Gale. That was 2 on the deck and 2 in the air, desperately trying to get through. And how on earth did Austin Gale land that one on 4 wheels?
I suspect tyres gripped up quite nicely when he landed back down on all 4. Yeah, not what you want to see through a very, very fast corner. At the front, though, Bartle now with a commanding lead, 4/10 of a second. Well, I say commanding lead, 4/10 of a second, but after only 1 lap, it's a pretty good going. Clark now in there.
George. It just goes from bad to worse in terms of his luck. He's had so much speed this weekend, George Nassar, but involved in that start line incident with Sam Woolley and Giovanni Dall'Adonna, and it's him who picks up the warning flag. You've got to feel for George Nassar. He's got the speed and the ability to run in the top 10 overall of this field, not just in one group. So it's so devastating that the luck has just not been with him.
Yeah, it's been a disaster for him, but nonetheless, final still to go. Hopefully he can see a big better result later on today. Clark now catching up to the back, and I thought it was going to go for a move on Bartel there for the race lead through turn 5. Bartel just left a door a little bit open as they all went through, but it sorted it out as there's Sandro Perez making moves through the field. Who's he just got past there? That's Raul Zanzar in there, who's now back up into P13 for Perez. So he's on a charge here, but is it going to be enough to get back up towards the front here? We've seen it done before in finals in the IAME Euro Series. Can we see it done in superheats? I reckon we could.
Well, you've got to remember that this time last year, we had Macaulay Bishop, who missed qualifying altogether, started the weekend from the very back of the grid, dead last, and somehow managed to charge his way through to take the lead going into the penultimate lap, I think it was, to win the final last year. But that was a gradual progression over the course of the weekend. To ask Sandro Perez to charge through from the back of the superheat to get himself back into a reasonable position, he's only going to drop to the same point score as Harrison Mackie if he stays where he is, so he could do with making up a few more places, but it's not a massive hammer blow for Sandro Perez in quite the same way. So he's still working his magic. Cathal Clark is back onto the tail of Bartel, but this is quite important for Cathal Clark. If he can get past Bartel, then pole position for the final is guaranteed. If not, he's got to hope that Hugo Mañas has a difficult superheat, and leaving the fate of your pole position in somebody else's hands is not always mixed with good glory.
No, yeah, you definitely don't want it to happen like that, do you? You want to get it done all by yourself. But again, we'll find that out after this race. Still, we're on lap 4 of 11 at the moment, so it's been pretty good so far. Everyone doing a pretty sterling job. There's Toby Gale going through the 1, 2, 3. You could just see tucked in behind Andre there, who was doing a brilliant job. And now look, Clark right on the back of Bartel. This is the closest he's been. Is he going to go for the move straight away, do you reckon, or is he just going to sit behind and assess?
If he's going to play the long game, then he'll have to obviously just try and read where Bartel is going to be weakest. If he's going to be going about this the right sort of way, as Javier Broasca gets the fastest lap of the race. Now, if he's going to be calm and collected about this, he just needs to sit behind Bartel, read where he is a little bit weaker on the throttle, read where he's a little bit weaker on the turn-in, and he can assess where he can pick up the place. But he's got Mackie and Phelps breathing down on him, so it's not clear-cut for Clark at the moment, and they are obviously trying to keep this set of tyres that they've had on since qualifying all the way through. They want to put the fresh set on in the final, so you've got to just try and keep these tyres going as long as possible. So this is about trying to read the situation for what it is and be very cautious, be very conservative in the first part. Just follow Harry, figure out where he's weak, try and pick up on the opportunities where he could make an overtaking move and Bartel can't come back at him. That's where he's going to make the real play. 5 laps done, 6 to go, and this is the half-distance lap, but Clark is just assessing the situation. No need to rush this yet.
Yep, that is...
poor George.
That is suboptimal, so...
That's going to be his weekend over, I'm afraid. And
pretty much.
I don't really think I can see him now making it through. And this is a lad who has got so much potential, so much raw speed. And I just wish that if you know, he's had that situation this weekend like he had so many times last year in Mini. Stepping up to junior, not much has changed, unfortunately. If you snap that cart in half, it would have bad luck written through it like Blackpool Rock. It is such an unfortunate situation that George has found himself in every time he's come to battle. But he did have that run yesterday when he came from the back up to P10 before it all kicked off. So he has the potential. He has this opportunity to charge his way back. He can make these wins come his way. He just needs a little bit of fortune on Friday.
Yeah, it is what it is, but unfortunately it is a shame for him. Iso still on these top two as Ashifan just in the background there having a look on Isaac Phelps as they come across the line just a little further back. Clark and Bartel here, hand gestures coming in and just saying, right, let's just keep going, let's open up this gap. They are opening up. Mackie's not closing in on these two. as Sasha Van Bosch with the fastest lap of the race now. 105.433 is closing in as well. So keep an eye on that one just behind.
Now, Perez is up to 8th place. This is great progress from the Spaniard. And the next target is going to be Toby Gale. So Sandro Perez can start to line him up as they go down the back straight. He's got a little bit of headway to go to catch him, to be fair. So it's not going to be an immediate charge forward from him. But there is Sandro Perez in the 57. Absolute disaster for him to be left on the dummy grid for the first formation lap. He tried his best to get back into position, but he knew he had to wait and just hang it back at the back of the grid. He's got through the drivers that would have been relatively straightforward to make his way through. Now he's got the tough nuts to crack, essentially, now, hasn't he? He's got to try and get through the big guns that he would normally be on the similar sort of pace as. And this is where Sandro Perez is really going to have to be quite tactical as to where he places the kart, where he goes for the move. Up the inside, that's going to be Bourasca, who is having an amazing charge forward, Javier Bourasca. Clearly going for the let's charge up through the field on a fresh set of tyres to get ourselves into the final type of strategy. So Bourasca, another fastest lap for him, a 105.2, whereas everybody else is on 105.3s, 4s and 5s. So Bourasca really started to charge his way forward on his own privately run Birolart. And here comes the charge from Perez. Now, where is Gale? Has he already got him? He's already got it, my goodness.
Yeah, he did it as well at the same time as Bourasca.
So very nicely done there for Sandro Perez. That puts him up to 7th place, and that takes his tally on, down to 13. So he could really do with another couple of overtakes on Phelps and Bourasca when the opportunity comes. And Isaac Phelps is going to be the next target, but he's going to try and make that up over the course of the next lap. It's about 0.8 of a second to gain. Now watch this. Joe Smith picks up the warning flag. That's unfortunate for him. But look at Clark. He's just able to run in the draft and eat up the road to Bartle in front. You can gain as much as 5 kilometers an hour just sat behind the cart in front of you. And that is monstrous pace.
Yeah, really is. The track here at Zuera really promoting some close racing and the recovery that you can need really from that one, and we've seen that from Perez in this one. You were able to get the slipstream, you were able to get the toe, you can claw in so much time just with that extra 5 kilometers an hour. It is brilliant to see. There again, further back, and that is Bourasca getting past Sasha Van Bosch. So that's for P4. Crucially then, that's going to allow Phelps and Perez to maybe get them to close up a little bit more if they keep scrapping away. And there they are. They have closed the gap.
Yeah, Perez really is eating the road up to Isaac Phelps. So it's going to be probably on the next lap that he'll get his opportunity. There's a yellow flag out. Not entirely sure.
I think it's cleared now.
Who it is that's got, yeah, it did clear. I think it was Enzo Pedraza having a moment. So Enzo Pedraza sadly is now dropped to the back of the field behind Giovanni Tarazona. So fortunately, just a quick spin rather than a big accident. Here comes Perez. He's on the charge to Phelps. He's going to work with him down the main straight. Then he'll pop out surely on the run to turn 2 as Bourasca is going to have his first real challenge in this race as Sasha Van Bosch doesn't want to drop him. Van Bosch wants to get back into this, and up the inside, that's Spanswick getting the move on the inside of Austin Gale, I do believe. Perez, here he goes, has a look at it. No problems at all getting past Isaac Phelps.
Yep, no, well timed, and he's still on that charge. It's looking pretty good. Still looking good here at the front, though. Clark still just assessing Bartle, just studying where he's positioning the kart. Round they go, and you can see Bartle just constantly just saying, come on, let's just keep going. Let's just keep working together. Don't worry about it whatsoever. They'll wait till those last couple of laps before they start kicking off. Bourasca here now, still, well, I wouldn't say he's fully under pressure from Tasha. Tasha has dropped back just that fraction through this midsection, but so far so good for everyone.
Fastest of all in the first sector, Rocco Coronel, 20.6 on the first split that time round. Fastest in the second and third sectors, though, is Javier Bourasca, as Bartle and Clark are just continuing their little duel up front. Into the last lap they go, and Bartle really wants to hang on to this lead. Ooh. He does not want Clark to get back through. He wants a 0 score because Bartle is looking at 11 points and Perez is looking at 12. He cannot afford to fall behind Cathal Clark, otherwise he'll drop back behind the Spaniard. But Clark is lining him up. He wants to go for the victory. Come on, think, says Cathal Clark. He taps his helmet. Stop defending, and going to back us into Mackie and Bourasca. Think about this. Keep pushing forward. Yes, I may get you for an overtake, but do not keep defending. This is not going to help any of us. And look, he's gesturing to Harry Bartle. Stop defending. We can race to the flag here. And actually, Cathal Clark, he was thinking about this on the long game. He actually dropped back a bit from Bartle. He doesn't want to get pushed back into Harrison Mackie's path. He's keeping an eye on him. He doesn't want to fall further back. And he feels that if Bartle's doing too much blocking, then they're actually going to fall back into the clutches of it. So Bartel is going to pick up the win in the superheat, but Cathal Clark is going to almost certainly pick up the pole position. It just depends on what happens to Manyas. But here we go, down across the line. Clark is going to pop out from behind him, and it's not enough. Bartel is going to take the win in the superheat.
Yeah, that was nicely done there. And again,
did you see that blank?
Yeah, well, you can understand Bartel's defensive moves there. You know, Clark right behind him, wanting to go for the overtake, but, you know, Bartel just didn't know. Yes, okay, maybe saying just keep going, but drivers do that all the time and then throw the dummy, don't they? So you saw Clark back it off there to just give him the sense of security that I think Bartel needed.
Harry Bartel putting his thumbs up to say to Cathal Clark, good race, mate. Cathal Clark left him hanging. It wasn't a good race. You held us up. But you're very lucky that the two of you that you're still there in first and second places.
No, yeah, like I say, it's still 1-2, so no drama whatsoever. Don't need to worry about it too much. There we go. Bartel then takes the win, but Clark puts it on pole for this one. And we'll see what happens in the second one later on. They'll be out next as they make their way back into the pit lane. We'll have a look at the full standings at the end of that one. It's UK 1, 2, 3, Bartel, Clark and Mackie. Raska finishing that one in P4 from Sacha Van Bosch. Sandro Perez rounds that one up with the recovery back to P6. A great recovery from the back of the grid. Such a shame that he did have to start from the back there. Isaac Phelps rounding out the top 7 from Toby Gale, Austin Gale and Joseph Smith rounding out the top 10. Rausenzarin rounding out the front 11 from Vilma Svan, Rocco Coronel and Eden Spanswick. Connor Clancy rounding out the top 15 on track.
Timo Koopman's P16 in front of Clovis Nugeraid, Angelina Proenza and Raul Martinez from Sam Woolley and Alex Martinez, then Giovanni Taradona and Enzo Pedraza. Just one retirement, George Nassar, one non-starter, Sebastian Mins. Well, what a fantastic situation now for Harry Bartel and Cathal Clark. But Clark is not quite where he wanted to be. He wanted to win,